Good morning to all the amazing people in this room. For those who don't know me, I can talk a lot. So for those who do know me, I've got a script and I'll stick to it, I promise. So firstly, I would like to acknowledge the ancient past of the industry that I represent today. Aquaculture has been practiced for thousands of years by Aboriginal communities. And there's evidence of fish traps designed to hold fish for long periods of time in their waterways. So I pay my respects to the people and their special connection to sea country. I want to say thank you to Nuffield Australia for believing in me 2 years ago. And I'm also very grateful for my sponsor support, Fisheries Research Development Corporation, FRDC, for their investment in my scholarship. Thank you. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the support of my friends, family, the Nuffield family as well, and of course, most importantly, Daniel. You have been amazing, thank you. So, aquaculture. Oh, there we go. I call it the art of fish farming. It's the fastest growing food sector in the world. And I work with Atlantic salmon here in Tasmania. My employer, Tassal, is one of 3 main companies farming this species. And I'm also very grateful for their support. And I love my job. I get up every morning excited to go to work. My job is to engage with the people and the communities and identify how best we can support them as an industry. I'm also part of the company's sustainability journey, so I help with that. And I'm very passionate about the environment and the people. So my Nuffield journey has really helped me understand how we can support the industry and grow in this space. But you must be wondering, why on earth are we farming Atlantic salmon in Tasmania? Let me start from the beginning. About 45 years ago, the first salmon eggs arrived in Canada, from Canada. Fish farming was an emerging and exciting new sector in Tasmania, which helped boost the economy in regional areas, which still does today. Our pristine cold waters are desirable conditions for salmon farming. And over a short period of time, we've seen the industry grow fast to meet the protein demand as fisheries reach their limits. And salmon aquaculture leads the way with technology, genetics, and fish performance. But it's not all perfect. Everywhere else in the world, there are some added challenges. Sea lice is this external parasite that attaches to the fish and feeds on its skin to survive. On top of that, salmon escapes interact with native populations. But in Tasmania, we don't have to worry about this, which makes this little island a great place to grow salmon. Our industry represents 1.6% of the world's total salmon production. Despite the relatively small share, it is one of the most valuable seafood sectors in Australia, worth $1.3 billion. And 90% of the salmon consumed in Australia is farmed here in Tasmania. So salmon is an important high-value species. It is nutritious, omega-3 rich, and a healthy food option for most people. And how come such a successful species is often controversial? Well, let me tell you, it's just not in Tasmania, because places I visited, like Canada, Scotland, Norway, and Chile, they all have polarized opinions about salmon farming. And every interview I had with salmon companies, they would always highlight the history of salmon farming as the cause for such controversy. Because it's true, the industry grew exponentially. Mistakes were made along the way, which impacted the environment and fish welfare. And despite the significant improvements we've done, the media and activists have been very prolific at painting the negative picture of salmon farming. And these are the stories that people remember. So I've also realized that the debate not only exists in salmon farming, but also in agriculture. So we all caught up in this constant battle of farmers trying to justify their practices to the consumer. And on top of that, we have farming is unstable because of the pressures of climate change. So I often like to say, whether you like it or not, we're all on the same boat. Climate change is putting pressure on our resources, and people are limiting our social license to operate. But what is it that we're all doing? Well, we're tackling these issues in our individual boats with no room for others to jump on board. And sometimes we're moving slow and it seems like the progress is little. But I wanted to look further into these challenges, so I looked into climate change and how it was impacting the industry. Warmer waters are increasing the frequency of jellyfish and algal blooms, which impact the fish, particularly in the gill health. And when the immune system of the fish is compromised, you can expect mortalities. And I remember being in the salmon, meeting with one of the biggest salmon companies in the world. And they were stuck to their chairs waiting for me to give them the magic answer. And I was like, whoa, I don't have it. That's why I'm here. I want to find out. But they didn't have it either. So we went on to discuss the issue further and, pulled apart the issue. And I asked a lot of questions because I talk a lot. And so I realized, well, we're so focused on the fish, we're not even looking at jellyfish life cycles, or have we included ecologists in this conversation? So I know these answers are out there, and those people are probably sailing in their own individual boats with the answers we need. So Nuffield has given me an incredible opportunity to learn from land farmers. In agriculture, they care for their soil, just like in our farming, we need to care for our water quality in the ocean. But only recently, I guess, farmers have started to understand the complexity of microorganisms and that the things we don't see often play a really important part in our system. Land farmers are trying new holistic approaches to improve the whole ecosystem. I visited Tom Clark at 2023 Nuffield Scholar in Scotland, which is an arable crop farmer, and he's including flowers in biodiversity belts to attract pollinators and protect his crops from pests through biocontrols. And I think we can be inspired by agriculture as we look at improving our marine environment. Just as flowers on land support the ecosystem, seaweed in the ocean often has similar benefits for offers similar benefits for our salmon farming. Seaweed is not only a great species to store carbon, it provides a way to bioremediate the water quality through absorption of nitrogen and phosphorus. And it can act as actually a physical barrier for seaweed, or for jellyfish blooms, never mind. So, could this be the solution for ocean farming? We don't know until we try. I do think it is important that we stay curious, look for balanced ecosystem models to support the industry in this ever-changing environment. And a couple of months ago, I attended the Aquavision conference in Norway, and Paul Krugman, a Nobel Prize winner and one of the most famous economists of our time, said that we have completely underestimated the financial impacts of climate change on our businesses. And so short-term investment is no longer the solution. We need to think broader and longer term. So salmon aquaculture has the best chance to succeed here because we have access to innovation, data, and technology. And so if we can put these tools together with nature-based solutions, we will keep our environmental license intact. So going on to our second challenge, people and social license. Let's talk about it. What does it even mean? I mean, there's so many definitions, but this one is one of the most used that says businesses must obtain essential elements of legitimacy, credibility, and trust from their communities to commence or continue operations. It's a great concept, but one of the biggest problems is that we don't know how to measure it. And what we do know is that it is impacting the industry's growth in recent years. So to increase our legitimacy, we need more traceability and transparency. So traceability is not just about where salmon comes from, but all parts and products that make up the industry. Each link matters as it ensures that the entire chain is consistent with sustainable practices. And for transparency, I got a quote from the president of the Salmon Association in Chile, and she said, Joanna, what you don't, let's not stuff this up. What you don't share, it doesn't exist. So she believes it's time to break the silence and, opening up, sharing more information and opening dialogue. But not everyone believes in what they hear. Sometimes they need to see it. So one of the best initiatives I've seen was in Germany, in a poultry farm, where, it was called Kick in the Box, and I think it means something like peek through the window or through the box. Anyone could walk in and see how the chickens were farmed. So I think open farm days are a great way to remove so many misconceptions, and where people can create their opinions from a real experience. To increase our credibility, we need to enhance collaboration. Firstly, companies need to stick together when it comes to the industry problems. You can send one strong message, not many weak ones. And secondly, we must look for collaboration beyond our own industry. We need stakeholders on board, like scientists, NGOs, indigenous groups, and other sectors like agriculture. And one of my favorite examples for international collaboration. It actually was a part of the ambition for the Global Salmon Initiative members, where they wanted to make all soy used in salmon feed deforestation-free. Yet no one single company had the power to do this. It was not even the collective. The solution was in the collaboration across the entire supply chain. Their united presence and shared goal leveraged soy farmers to be accountable for their practices. And once the process was established, they got NGOs like WWF and Proterra then to be involved and verify their process, which gave them credibility for their claim on deforestation-free soy salmon feed. So there are many opportunities like this one for collaboration. And sometimes I know the risk is high, but I think the reward is certainly worth it. At last, the most important point for me is in social license is trust. I think even when people are provided reliable information, they're still skeptical. And so the only way I see this changing is through meaningful connections through our communities. And meaningful connections are built over time through understanding and respect. And the industry's best asset, it's people. Tasmania alone has 5,000 people directly benefiting from salmon farming. They are our true community champions. But first, we need to create a culture from within, and a culture that clearly defines ambitions for our sustainability journey. And we also need a common language that can then empower our people to change the narrative around salmon farming. So, in summary, salmon farming in Tasmania provides a healthy protein option for Australians, and it faces the same challenges as international producers. The main difference I see is that we actually have a very realistic opportunity to be the best model there is for the rest of the world. And that's because we are a relatively small scale, and our geographical isolation helps with biosecurity. We have the ability to support nature-based solutions, and through collaboration we can make some more sustainable changes. And we must believe in the power of our people to create a trusting industry. So I think we can all agree that the challenges we face are too big to be tackled in isolation. And so we all need to get on board that ship, because the future of our food system depends on everyone having sustainability as a shared goal. Thank you.